Hi. One of the most beautifully designed lessons in the Feldenkrais method is called Coordinating the Flexors and the Extensors. And it's a lesson that Moshe included in his most accessible book, the Awareness and Movement book. And really it's just a lesson it's a beautiful lesson. It's not a very simple lesson. And each person will work through this lesson in a different way. But I just wanted to present it to you today and to take you through a few little details regarding the lesson and to sort of help you make sense of it, okay? Just a very quick explanation. The flexors are the muscles in the front of ourselves, the muscles that help us bend or fold forward. And the extensors are the muscles in the back. It's a very interesting phenomena because they have slightly different colors, literally, and they have different personality, if you will. There's a different characteristic to those different sets of muscles. The flexors are good at working strong and hard and fast, but for a very short time. And the extensors are very different. They're good for working for many, many hours, non-stop. They don't need to rest. They're just good that way. But they cannot work fast and strong. So if either group of muscles does something that it's not used to doing, it can really hurt or injure you even. If you have the extensors do some things that the flexors used to do, or if you make the flexors work for a very long time without stopping, you would feel it. This is something that is kind of incredible to learn to realize. And I'm a big fan of that because I don't like to name muscles and get busy with all the details of where muscles get attached and all the muscles that overlap each other and how they work in conjunction with each other. I'd much rather look at the whole person as we move. Anyways, let's get to it. Lie on your back. If you like to join me, or you can do this at your own time later on. I'm gonna go as always a little bit quick through it, not to spend too much time on any one detail. So the lesson begins with the knees bent and feet standing, and the first thing we do is we cross our legs, right? So right leg over the left. I'm crossing at the knees, although it's completely acceptable if you like to do it this way, if it's more comfortable for you. But ultimately, we're crossing at the knees and beginning to let the knees drop slowly, slowly, slowly with control, not letting them drop too fast, not pushing them to go down too fast, but using gravity to let them drop down and controlling the speed with which they go. Just doing a little bit and come back. Slowly, both ways. Please begin to pay attention to the fact that you start tilting the legs to the right, to the side, with the beginning of an exhalation. And that is the only detail regarding the timing of the movement in conjunction with the breath. Only the initiation of the movement is timed to fit the initiation of the exhalation. The rest of the breath should not be interfered with. Work gently, slowly. Do not go beyond what is safe and easy for you. I've done this lesson many times. I've done this earlier today, so this is a little bit easier for me to do. The shoulders remain on the floor. The head remains on the floor. Notice that your standing foot, in my case the left foot, rolls on the floor, the outside edge of the foot lifts, and I come to lean on the inside edge of the foot. So this is the first sequence of movements. The second sequence of movement is doing the exact same thing and leaving the knees down there. And now, this is a little bit unusual. If you haven't done this before, it's rather strange. Now you begin to create a seesaw movement of your belly and chest. What that means is that you protrude the belly and the chest, the belly and the chest. And this is not coordinated with the breathing. The breathing is independent of this movement. Okay? So you can hold your breath and do this, or you can continue to breathe softly and do it, but do not time the inhalation and exhalation with either of the belly protruding or the chest protruding. Make sure that they're not connected directly to that. And when you're done, try one more time to just see if that made a difference for you. Seesawing the belly and the chest is a movement that is being introduced in various lessons. And it's a very, very powerful movement. It changes subtle things in the spine as you're doing it. It also is an incredible way to make your abdominals more effective, not just stronger, but better and more functional. Okay? So this is the first sequence of movements. The second sequence of movements, and again, please build resting into this, etc. Okay? The second sequence of movements, again, feet stand shoulder width. The feet, the legs, the pelvis are passive. Take your arms and hug yourself in a way that your hands go to the shoulder blades. What that means is that your hands do not go up to the shoulders. So that's can be acceptable if you cannot reach to the shoulder blades, right? But if you can, please reach to the shoulder blades under the armpits, and you can notice that the elbows are aligned right next to each other. And you can begin gently to roll yourself to both sides. It can be difficult at first. Please be patient and move very slowly, okay? Let the head move with the shoulders and arms and chest. Let the movement be as small as it be. Nothing will begin to happen. You can think of gently pulling on a shoulder blade and of drawing with your elbows a line or two lines here. That can be useful too. Later on, when you're beginning to get the hang of it, you can move a little bit lighter and faster, which in many cases all of a sudden makes a lot of sense. So a lot of people who are struggling with this movement slowly, once they give it a little speed, you realize that it can go. Please make sure that your pelvis stays quiet when you do that, okay? And when you do the other side, in other words, when you change hands, please try and do this gently again, and this time gradually let the head stay in the middle and move less. In other words, do not hold the head in place. Just gradually minimize the movements of the head until you can see that the shoulders are moving, the arms are moving, but the head is moving less, rolls less than the shoulders do side to side. And so you will find out that the head is doing some kind of a peculiar movement while resting passively on the floor. Okay? Okay. This is the second sequence of movements. The third sequence of movements, we come back to the same idea of crossing a leg over a leg, letting it rest all the way to the side. Slowly and carefully, once again. And once you're rested to the side, you interlace your fingers behind your head. And with the elbows leading the way a little bit up in the air, you, together with the clear beginning of an exhalation, you begin to lift your head and shoulders. Resting the legs to the side. If you're able to, please begin to pay attention to the places in the back that come closer to the floor, the places in the back that move away from the floor as you come up and as you come back down. So, of course, each one of those movements deserves a resting point, deserves maybe more repetition, slower movements. After you do it and rest, you can go to the other side and do the same thing. So this becomes more of a whole lesson, okay? The last sequence of movements goes like this. You place your long arms to the ceiling, palms touching, and this becomes your constraint. In other words, the long arms and the chest create a triangle, and you want to keep the triangle's integrity as you begin to tilt it softly to the side. So you do not change the shape, right? You don't make the triangle change its shape. You keep the same integrity, meaning that the left shoulder must lift. And the head will fall. And if you really want to help yourself, you begin by allowing the head to lift a little bit. If the head lifts, it's a lot easier to complete the turn or to make a bigger turn. And once you become more flexible, and once you have a little bit of an easier time getting there, you can bring it back down to the floor and continue to do the movements. Okay? So that's pretty much it. This is today's lesson. As always, play with it gently. Give yourself a chance to rest, to appreciate, to not overdo, to not strain, and write to me if you have any questions, if you have any observations, if you have any insights. Okay? Take care. See you next week. Bye-bye.